Now is the time for our meditation, so I invite you to get comfortable in your chair. If you'd like to close your eyes and begin taking some deep breaths, signaling to your body that it's time to slow down so that we can breathe deeply down into our bellies, into our body, focusing on that breath, that beautiful breath of God, breathing in and breathing out, taking you to a place of stillness. Just allow your body to relax. Let your shoulders fall. Feel your feet heavy on the ground. Let your hands just rest gently in your lap. Our goal is to get out of our human mind and allow this time for nurturing of our soul and our spirit. And the more we breathe, the more we find that beingness deep within. That breath takes us to the land of the portal. Breathing in and breathing out, I invite you to ask, where in my body do I feel any resistance? Don't judge it. In fact, turn toward the resistance in your body that you feel. Acknowledge that it's there. And as we move into acceptance, we open our arms of acceptance around it and we surround it for what it is. We accept it. And now I invite you to take a scan of your current life. And I ask you again, where do you notice resistance? Acknowledge it. Turn toward that resistance and open your arms of acceptance to what is. Turn toward it. Allow it to be okay. Surround it with the power of acceptance. Now I invite you to take a look at our world. See where you think the resistance lives. Where is it? No matter what it is, acknowledge it. Turn toward it. Open your loving arms of acceptance and completely engulf it. Surround it with acceptance. Now I invite you to lift up your eyes. Lift up your eyes to the power of possibility. Feel your whole body lifting up to this idea of living in a world that works for all people. I invite you to, in this possibility, see peace on our planet. See infinite possibility. And now I invite you to pop yourself into that infinite possibility. Pop yourself into it. There's no resistance there. How are you being in this expanded state? Just feel us as a collective aligning with the world that is becoming something new, something different. Feel us moving into total coherence with all that is. Imagine the vibrational alignment that can take place when we see and feel and know what life can be. Breathe it in. Take a deep breath in. Breathe in that possibility and let it go. And slowly bring yourself back into the room. Feeling that peace of God in your hearts, in your minds, in your beingness. Feeling grateful. And as you begin to wiggle your toes and your fingers and become more fully present here, we say, thank you, God, for this sweet time of remembrance. And so it is, and so we allow it. And whenever you're ready, just open your beautiful eyes. A penguin was standing at the water's edge. And he happened to glance up and he saw a majestic eagle flying above, full wingspan. And he looked down at his little flippers, and then he looked back up, and he thought, my, how wonderful it must be to soar above in the heavens and have that kind of power. So he climbed up to a tall rock, and then he slithered down in and swam away in the water. At the same time, this magnificent eagle that was flying above looked down and saw this little penguin and said, look at that. Look how he can just swim in the water. And he looked at his wings and he said, I wonder if I could swim like him, if I went in the water like that. Each one of them had to accept their own reality and be okay with who they are. Every now and then we look at the talents of other people, the capabilities, and wish we had them, wish we had some of that, wish we could do what they do. And my suspicion is that many of those that I admire have others in their lives that they probably envy as well. And so it goes, this endless loop of wishing for something that we don't have, right? Until there's disappointment. When we compare ourselves, there's always disappointment in the end. A penguin is a penguin because it has a very specific job. And the eagle is an eagle, and it does its job magnificently well. You and I were created for a very specific purpose. And only we can do what we came here to do. The moral of the story is, the sooner we accept our role, the happier we're going to be. Right? Instead of resisting, we move into acceptance. So we have an affirmation that we're using during this month of August. So let's say it together. I release resistance and experience acceptance. Unity has a sweet little video that we're going to show you that highlights this even a little bit more for our month of August. I think they did a beautiful job. There's our yearly vision, the perfect vision, seeing through spiritual eyes. I don't know how they picked that, but this was the exact right year that we're having to do that, aren't we? So I love that little opening story because I think it's always easier to think the grass is greener on the other side, right? And to compare ourselves, especially in this time when we're sort of looking at what's going on all around us. We have this idea that we kind of wish it was a little bit easier, or a little bit better, or a little bit different. But mostly, I live in a place of gratitude. I don't know about you, but I look out and I see things that I don't like, but I, within myself, feel extreme gratitude for all the blessings in my life. And I don't know, but I think that sort of consciousness is what we're going for. We're going for living from a place of gratitude no matter what we see, even if we don't have all the talents and abilities we wish we had. You see, I think when we compare ourselves to other people, it just leads us to suffering. And who wants to suffer? We have to quit comparing ourselves to other people because we are all so unique and magnificent in our own ways. We are individualized expressions of God come here just to express the only way that we can. We are worthy and we are enough. Dr. Gary Simmons and Jane, his wife, have been teaching the Q effect for some time now. And it's a process that keeps us from being entangled in our unconscious patterns and limiting beliefs. It helps us look at sort of the shadow parts of our life. And he said, imagine how different our lives would be if we truly believed that nothing and no one is against us, that there's absolutely no one out to get us. This takes being strong in knowing who we are, standing strong in our truth, and believing that we are these expressions of God, that we are the presence and the power of God. And when we can do that, then we don't fall into this role of victim. Dr. Gary says that this Q process that they have created can literally rewire your brain to not be a victim, because it helps you to see everybody as doing the best that they can with what they've got. You see, we've sort of learned victimhood. It's not exactly all our fault, but some of us, some of us came like from huge families, and we had to do things in order to get attention in our families, right? But it's okay to have a good day, and it's okay to think that our life is manageable and it's on track and everything's awesome. But many of us have learned as part of our survival behaviors when we were very young that there's a way that we need to get attention and approval, and we do that by being a victim. We don't need to be helpless. We don't need to be out of control to get the attention of the people that we love, because we are not built to be victims. We are not. We can get all the love we need by owning our own power and standing on our own 2 feet strongly. And I know that this has been my lesson for the last 2 years in becoming a widow. You know, when you live with somebody for 43 years, it's almost like an appendage is missing. It's like half of you is not there. It's a very strange thing. And so coming into your own power, right? Feeling that you're okay just the way you are. You don't have to be a victim. You don't have to be helpless. You can learn the things that you can do to be on your own. We all have bad days, but we can deal with them either with self-responsibility instead of victimization. So I thought it might be kind of fun to sort of review the 4 levels of consciousness, because it's really, to me, very interesting how we, as a planet, I believe, are moving from the lowest to the highest level of consciousness. That's why we all feel so stretched right now. So in victim consciousness, where a lot of people still live, everything's happening to me. So it's to me. Everything's to me. I have no control. People are doing it to me. There's blame, 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 because that's victim consciousness. I have no responsibility. It's all happening to me. Then there's by me, which is victor consciousness. That's the next step up. That's when you actually understand that you have some control over the thoughts and beliefs and ideas that you have running in your mind. So you're not completely helpless here. You're beginning to take a little bit of your power back. So that's to me and by me. Victim and victor. And then we move into the vessel consciousness. And that's where many people are now. We have this realization that there's a higher power greater than our intellect that has a part in our lives, that we have a part of. Because this is when life becomes easier. There's no blame, there's no guilt. You're taking some responsibility. You understand that you are co-creating. So it becomes, your life becomes easier. You start setting intentions and creating a good prayer life and working with meditation. You start working to be the through me consciousness that the vessel consciousness is. You understand that you're an expression of God. But the thing that we're really going for, the ultimate goal, the example that Jesus gave us, was the verity consciousness. In the verity, it's as me. It's as me. It's completely different because you're realizing your oneness with everything. You're realizing your oneness with all that is, and you realize that your higher power and your divine mind are who you are. That's your true nature. Your true nature is happening from you. So to me, by me, through me, as me. Verity consciousness. That's the goal. We want to live as our way shower. Jesus taught us to live as me, to know that we are one with the Father. Always, right? It's very powerful. Now, sometimes these 4 levels of consciousness are called islands of consciousness. I had not heard that until recently. And so my question to you is, what island are you living on? What island do you want to be part of, right? And so for the truth is that we aren't always on one island or the other. Many times we are in one island and then we kind of move to another. It's not easy to stay in verity consciousness. That's our goal, because then we're enlightened, right? But it's a good goal to have, to think of God as me. It's a very different way of looking at things. We touch into that verity consciousness. Occasionally, we get to stay there for a little while. But for the most part, we're we're in one of the other three most of our days. Joel Goldstein, in his book, his wonderful book, The Infinite Way, Joel Goldstein says, it is possible to have the pleasures of the world and enjoy them, or not to have them and not even miss them. You see, there is a constant joy within us that needs no outside stimulus. When we know who we are, when we know what magnificent beings we are. This is the truth of us, isn't it? And we get to choose. To me, that's spiritual maturity, because you're just loving what is. You are in the moment. You are living in the present. You are free, like the video said. It's because we accept who we are. And we're okay with where we are in our life. That's what brings the peace, you see. Not thinking we have to do something else, be something else, model somebody else's way of being. We just are our authentic selves. I was reading Alan Cohen's blog this week. He's the Course in Miracles guy, and he said, some may think times have never been so chaotic as they are now. The truth is, our current situation is no worse than any other. War, plagues, and injustice have troubled humanity since day one. Think about it. The first step to healing our current situation is to realize that we are not victims. We're not victims of an unusually oppressive era. This is just something that we're going through, right? The second step is to realize that the source of all oppression is in our mind. We're thinking it, we're believing it, we're feeling it, right? The third step is to realize that freedom from all oppression occurs in the mind. So we have the presence and the power to be able to change our thinking and change our lives. We have the power to move from resistance of what we see going around us and move into acceptance. Isn't that what Alan's saying? We don't have to wait for somebody else or something out there to change. It's an inside job. We have to change our perception of how we're seeing what's going on around us. So if we want to move into acceptance, we simply have to get control of our thoughts. Let them not go down the rabbit hole and think of the horrible things that could happen if such and such happened. We don't want to go there. We want to control our minds because we have been given dominion to do so. Remember the 5 principles? God is, I am, I think, I pray, I live. You do the first 4. You live the truth you know. And so the third one, I think. That's the law of mind action. I think that's what this whole lesson is about, is what you focus on expands. Where you put your ideas and thoughts and energy, that's what grows more of. So that's why you don't want to go down the rabbit hole and think of all the negative things that could happen. You want to do what we did in meditation, and you want to hold that highest vibration and vision for our planet and for everybody that you know that's struggling. So our peace of mind really is the most precious gift we can give ourselves. That's where the freedom lies, is having that peace. And we do that by paying attention to our inner guidance system. And the sooner we do that, the sooner we experience joy. That joy that we've been talking about, that peace that we know we need, and that freedom that we all want in our lives. So today we're in Scripture. We're actually in the Old Testament. We're in Isaiah chapter 26, verses 3 and 4. Those of steadfast mind you keep in peace. In peace because they trust in you. Trust in the Lord forever, for in the Lord God You have an everlasting rock. What is the rock but the foundation? What is the Lord but metaphysically it means your I am. It's your Christ consciousness. You have within you a rock, an everlasting rock of understanding that you have everything that you need already within you. You have all of the Christ within. That's your spiritual guidance system. That's your inner guide always. And you listen to that for ways that you can stay in peace. It seems pretty clear to me is where are we putting our faith? Are we putting our faith in the media and the things that are external to us? Are we putting our faith and trust in what we know to be the truth, what we know about who we are and how we came here to be and who we came here to be? Are we putting God first? Do we truly, truly trust divine order that's unfolding? Can we say that we're okay with whatever happens? Can we be in acceptance about that? Just let our life flow in divine order, day by day. Well, just a few years ago, a lady named Mary O'Malley wrote a very interesting book, and it's entitled, What's in the Way is the Way. And I think it's one of those that we may have to look at doing a book study on in the near future, because she talks about, she's a counselor and she's an author and she's someone who's a leader in the field of awakening. And she says, as long as you buy into the illusion that you are separate from life, and because you fear it, you must be in control, you will be cut off from the vast intelligence that is always within you. She says, be patient with this. You and most everybody else have been caught in these spells for most of your life. But you have now drawn into your life the shift of perception that will allow you to unhook from the spells, and in that unhooking, discover that you are never alone. She says it is possible to live with profound openness all the time, even while tending just to daily activities of our lives. We can be open. I believe this is our time. This is our gift of now, of our cocooning, of our going in. We're being forced to go in to find out what our strengths are, how we can stand in our power. What's in our way, you see, is helping us find the right path for us. It's helping us find the path for humanity. It's much bigger than us, you see. We're just part of helping to bring it forth, because everything is in divine order. Jesus is still our best example for showing us how to do that by living the Jesus teachings, being the love, showing up His peace. All of these things in the New Testament that He taught us are how we get to that place of peace, how we can be okay with accepting whatever is happening in our lives. We had a sweet thing this week in our book study. It was our last week of Helena Hallway, Light at the Door. And the author, Reverend Ellen Davenport, came on to the call at 10:30, which was the last paragraph of the last chapter of her book that we have been focusing on for weeks. She came in and we got to share with her what an amazing unfoldment we have had these last weeks and months that we've been focusing on that, looking for the light. Because it's all about hallways. She said sometimes the hallways feel like they never end, but we may end in one hallway and then enter into another hallway. But we got to share with her how much we have delved into the material and how much we have enjoyed it. And she shared how grateful she is that we're using all the Unity tools that she is responsible for at Unity Village. And we talked a little bit, I got to share about how Ellen and I worked together in Texas for a number of years, teaching growing spiritual leaders and prayer chaplains and licensed teachers. But then toward the end of the call, one of the folks on the call asked a very important question. She said, Reverend Ellen, how do we take all of this wonderful material and turn it into a practice for our everyday lives? Because there was so much in there. She said, well, there are some checklists, there are some things that we can refer back to that kind of help us. But she said, honestly, there are 4 key things always that you can lean on to make sure that you're doing your spiritual practices and that you're moving in the right direction. And the first one is surrender. One of the things we've already been talking about. The second one is acceptance. The next one is prayer. And the last one is forgiveness. If there are blocks in any one of these things, we're likely not able to move forward in our life. So that's a good touch point to go back to. I thought it was an excellent answer, so that we have some more practical things in our toolbox that we can pull out and use. I think we're living in a really incredible time. And I honestly, at the core of my being, believe that we chose to be here now because we, in our consciousness, have this responsibility to help our entire planet move into another level of consciousness. We are moving people out of victimhood up in through victor, vessel, into verity consciousness. We as a planet. I think that the reason it feels like we're in such a struggle is like, imagine that we're giving birth to something so huge and magnificent. And we're all in the birth canal. And we're pushing and we're struggling and we're trying to move through. We want to get through to the end of the light at the tunnel, right? We want to see it. We want it to happen now. We're not patient. We want it to happen now. But it takes everybody getting to that level before we can bring it forth. That's why I think it's so important that we are moving into this place of shedding that old consciousness of separation that has never worked. Obviously, it's not working for our planet. We need something better. So we're moving into a new way of being, a way of new consciousness, of being oneness. So to me, the prayer that continues to be the prayer that is bringing it forth in my life is reveal that which needs to be revealed, heal that which needs to be healed. Because I think that's what's happening on a global scale. It's also what's happening individually in our lives. And I'm feeling it, seeing it. I'm getting affirmation that we're heading in the right direction, that we're doing what we came here to do, that we're gathering people on Zoom meetings, and we're trying to help people make these right choices to move forward in their lives. So I think we're witnessing something that is extremely exciting. I think we need to put our focus on accepting our part in this new unfoldment, in this whatever is happening in divine order. We have a part of it. And we're ready, I think, to enter into reclaiming that acceptance so that we can feel that peace that passes understanding. That peace that we need and that peace that our planet deserves. Enough preaching. It's time for a little humor. There was a lady, she woke up from a nap and she told her husband, I just had this most wonderful dream that you gave me this beautiful string of pearls. He said, oh, what do you think that means? She said, and he said, oh, you'll know tonight. So the time goes by, the afternoon comes to a close. He comes in with this little package and he hands it to his wife, and she unwraps it, and it's a book called The Meaning of Dreams. He didn't get it, did he? He didn't take the hint very well. I want to close today with, you remember the Peace Pilgrim? She walked the world. She walked all over the place. In 1953, she took off with not a penny in her pocket, and she said, I'm just going to trust God, and she had some amazing experiences. All her needs were always met. She trusted God so completely, and these are the things, these are the teachings that she wanted the world to know. Know every right thing you do, every good word you say, every positive thought you think has good effect. As long as you maintain faith in God, you will be victorious over any situation you face. Live in the present and be the best you can be. The future will unfold according to the seed you plant today. Love those who are out of harmony and lift them into a higher way. Abandon fear and replace it with faith. Allow love to reign supreme in your heart. She says peace is a state of alignment with oneness. When we are at peace, there is no discord or fear or even confusion. Rather, there is enhanced awareness that all is God, all is love, and there is a deep, deep knowing that we are each part of a universal order and harmony that always prevails. That's what I want for each and every one of us, that kind of peace. Thank you so much. God bless. Now is the time in our service when we get to give from our good into the community, so I invite you to take your tithes and offerings in your hand, and if you're at home and watching it on YouTube or Vimeo or Facebook, you can click the donate button on our website. We'd be so very grateful. Let's say this together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, that this is so, and so it is, and so we allow it. Namaste, everyone.